My dear friends, I trust that you have enjoyed those old bhajans, as we normally like to refer them to, but there's a beauty in those bhajans in particular, and I hope that you really thoroughly enjoy them. Thank you for being with me today for today's Satsang. Remember, our Satsangs are conducted every Wednesday and Saturday. I want to begin this evening with a little story. It's entitled Lunch with God. Lunch with God. You know, very often we want to know whether we have met God or whether we know who is God or where is God, or, you know, what is the experience that tells us that we have had a confrontation, an experience, an interaction with God. So there was this little boy who wanted to meet God. And he knew it was a long trip to where God lived. He was always told, you know, it's very long, my son. It's in heaven, it's millions of miles away. How can you travel to meet God? So one day, this little boy, in his innocence, packed his suitcase with biscuits and 6 packs of soft drinks. And he started on his journey to meet God. Now, when he had gone about 3 blocks away from his home, he met an old man. And this old man was sitting in the park, and the old man was staring at some pigeons. So the boy sat down next to him, and the boy opened his suitcase. Now, in the suitcase, of course, remember, he had his soft drinks and he had his biscuits. So he was about to take a drink from one of his soft drink bottles when he noticed that the old man looked hungry. So he took one of his biscuits and offered it to the old man. And the old man gratefully accepted it and smiled at him. But what was interesting to the little boy was that the smile of this old man was so incredible that the boy just wanted to see that smile again. So this time, he offered him one of his soft drinks. And once again, the man smiled. The old man smiled at him. And the boy was delighted. The boy was happy. He was overjoyed just to see the smile on the face of this old man. And then the boy forgot about his journey, because he sat there all afternoon eating biscuits with the old man and looking at the smile of the old man. But you know what? Interestingly enough, they never said a word to each other. So then, he was enjoying himself so much that it began to grow dark. And the boy realized how tired he was, and he got up to leave. But before he had gone more than a few steps, he turned around, ran back to the old man, and this time gave the old man a hug. And man was delighted with this hug. He gave the boy a hug also, and then gave him the biggest smile that the boy had ever seen. And when the boy reached home and opened the door to his own house, his mother was surprised by what she saw as a tremendous, delightful joy on the face of her son, the little boy. So she asked him, you know, where have you been all this time? What did you do today that have made you so happy? I've not seen you smile so much. I've not seen you so joyous. I've not seen you delighted. What has made you happy? So many things I have done for you, but you have not been as happy as I see you today. And the boy said to his mom, he said, Mom, I had lunch with God. I had lunch with God. But before his mother could respond, he added, and you know what? That God has the most beautiful smile I've ever seen. So the mother, you know, she was beginning to get very curious. You know, he has met God. He's talking about the smile of God. Maybe he has really had an experience with God, she thought. So meantime, the old man, also radiant with joy, you know, the joy brought to him by this little boy, returned to his home. And his son now, the son of the old man, was stunned to see the look of peace on the face of his father. And he asked his father, Dad, what did you do today that has made you so happy? And the father said, look, I ate biscuits in the park with God. I ate biscuits in the park with God. But before the son could respond, the father added, you know, he's much younger than I expected him to be. But Dad, I've been giving you biscuits so much. And you've been eating them, but you seem to have enjoyed those biscuits more than the biscuits I have offered you. Son, God has a great smile on his face, and he is much younger than I thought. Brothers and sisters, it seems to be just an airy fairy tale, but it's not. You see, there's a message in this story that I want to share with you, and it's this. Too often in this world, we underestimate the power of a smile, a touch, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. All of which have the potential to turn a life around. You know, in this time of coronavirus, when so many people are in need, and let me tell you, poverty is real in this country at this point in time. The coronavirus situation has unmasked the level of poverty that exists in this country. Last night I saw on a program the police service distributing in the Bagatelle area hampers, and it was just, you know, so tragic to see the conditions under which elderly people are living in that area. That a country as rich as Trinidad and Tobago have people who are living in the most abject poverty. Abject poverty. And even the police officers, you know, tears came to their eyes, you could see. Their voices broke when they were handing out these hampers to people. You know, all over this country there's tremendous charity that is taking place right now. People are really coming to the fore. And people have kind words. They're listening to others. They're complimenting others. They're caring. You know, seva is at its highest that I've ever seen in this country. So we must not underestimate the power of charity. And charity is not just physical or material. Charity is a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or a small act of caring. Because all of these have the potential to make someone happy and to bring a smile on their faces. You see, the bigger issue here is this. In our lives, people come into our lives for a reason. They come for a season, as we say, or they come for a lifetime. And God comes in the form of people into our lives for a reason. A season or a lifetime. All we need to do is to recognize God in people. In other words, there are people who come into our lives to serve a purpose. And sometimes, as soon as that purpose is served, they disappear from our lives. Recognize that those are the angels of God, as we say, the messengers of God who have been sent in order to relieve us of our stress, or to reduce our pain, or to remove certain of our challenges that are facing us. And they come and they serve us. In other words, they perform their karma for which they'll be blessed, and they move on. In this regard tonight, I want to take the opportunity to thank, to congratulate, and to bless a young man who works in my office as my research officer, Rishi Kenneth Harinanan from Mayu. Together with his friends and his family, today he coordinated 500 meals and had them distributed throughout the constituency of Tabakit and surrounding areas. This is a tremendous act of a young man, Rishi Harinanan, and his friends. And for this we must reach out and say with gratitude, thank you, may God bless you for such a tremendous act of charity and love that you have done. May God bless him, and may God bless all those who contributed in that regard. Let us praise Lord Krishna in this very beautiful Adharam Madhuram chant. It's a very beautiful chant, which I hope you like. मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरु यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतस्तुवन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपदिशदैः गायन्ति यं सामगा ध्यानावस्थिततर्कतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यशान्तं न विदुसुरासुरगणः देवाय तस्मै नमः। हरि ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। And now let us share this beautiful bhajan from Prashanti Nilayam. तेरे सिवा प्रभु कोई नहीं है, तुझको मेरा प्रणाम, तुझको मेरा प्रणाम. This is a very lovely song, lovely song. In my old group, the Saraswati Kirtan Mandali, this song is often sung so beautifully by Uma Rupchand of the Atma Gyan Mandir in Superior Road, St. John's Place. And she really sings it very, very delightfully and with a lot of love and devotion. pukar, Sai Baba. Suno lo mere pukar. Suno, listen. Listen to my pleadings. Suno lo mere pukar. Listen to my pleadings to you, Lord, and respond. I also want tonight to take this opportunity to express my deepest thanks and my appreciation to Pastor Winston Mansing of the Open Bible Church in Whiteland. Pastor Mansing, about 6 weeks ago, I approached him and I told him, let us get together and provide meals on Wednesdays and Saturdays for the unfortunate people in my constituency. And by this Saturday coming, together with Pastor Mansing and my office, we would have cooked and distributed 1,500 meals to people in our constituency. I want to thank him very much for coming forward and helping in this great cause. He's a tremendous asset to the community and has always responded whenever I have had the need to help people in the area and to take care of their many, many needs, especially those in dire states of poverty. Tonight, I want to share with you something from the Ramcharitmanas of Tulsidas entitled Flattery. 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 And I want to begin with this doha from the Ramayana, and then I'll translate it to you from Sundarakand of the Ramayana, and here's what it says. Sachiva Vaida Gura Tini Jamu Priya Bulahi Bhayash Raj Dharma Tanatini Kara Hoye Bigihinas Sachiva Vaida Gura Tini Jamu Priya Bulahi Bhayash Raj Dharma Tanatini Kara Hoye Bigihinas Shri Ram Shri Ram Shri Ram Shri Ram Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajumana Haran Bhava Bhayadarunam Navakanjalochana Kanjamukhamana Kanja Parakanjaranam Shri Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. What does this verse say? It's a beautiful verse from Sundarkand. When a minister, meaning a minister of government, or a doctor, or a guru, when any of these three speak pleasing words because of fear for someone, or because they hope to get a reward, what is the result? The result is that kingdom, health, and faith are all three quickly destroyed. You know, Ramayana has these very beautiful commentary. When a minister, a physician, a doctor, or a teacher, a guru, when any of these three speak pleasing words, either because they fear someone, or fear a result, or because they have some hope of a reward that if I say this rather than what's the truth, I will get a reward. Tulsidas says, the result is that that kingdom, or that country, or the health of the patient, or faith of the devotee are all three quickly destroyed. And in Lanka Kand of the Ramayana, there is a beautiful comment about Ravan's love to be flattered. Ravan's love to be flattered. He's a guy who loved to be flattered. And in that very beautiful verse of Ramayana, which I shall share with you before I make my comments on it, this is what Tulsidas wrote. What does this verse from the Ramayana say? It says as follows, in the Lanka Kand. It says, you know, it's a comment about Ravan's love for flattery. Ravan is a fella, you know, everyone feared Ravan. So they would normally tell Ravan what he wanted to hear, rather than what is the truth. And of course, you know, Tulsidas tells us, If you choose to tell somebody what they prefer to hear rather than the truth, then not only are you being untruthful, but you are leading to the destruction of the person. In the case of a kingdom, if you are a minister of government, you are advising your prime minister of that which is untrue because you want to find favor with the prime minister, then you're also leading your country down the wrong path. So what does this verse say? It says, there is no end in this world. There is no end in this world to men who speak and listen to those words which are pleasing to the ears. It says there are all multitudes of men and women, who just like to hear what is pleasing to their ears. But, O Lord, those who say and give heed to words which are harsh to hear, but of great advantage, are very few. It takes a lot of courage to receive negative feedback. It takes a lot of courage to receive negative feedback. And one of these days I will speak what the Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita says about how to give negative feedback, how it should be given. But let me read the verse again. There is no end in this world to men who speak and listen to those words which are pleasing to the ears. But, O Lord, those who say and give heed to words which are harsh to hear, but of great advantage, are very few. Nobody wants to hear, really, if you think about it. No one wants to hear things that are harsh to their ears. So he said there are few men who will accept negative feedback because they know it's a great advantage. But there are lots of people who don't want to hear anything else that less than is pleasing to their ears, even though it's the untruth. Now, it is said very truthfully that flattery gets you nowhere. We all need, from time to time what the psychologists call positive stroking. That is words that let us know how well we are doing. But equally, we need to know how well we are not doing. So right now, Mother Earth, nature is telling us how well we have not done with the way we have treated this planet. And if we do not accept negative feedback, then no real improvement or growth in our lives will take place. Now, you cannot be a person though who uses negative feedback to destroy a person. That is not what we are talking about. Flattery is something that some people practice to win the favor of others. It is called sucking up to someone and consists of telling people over-exaggerated things meant to increase their feelings of ego. Unfortunately, what does not exist in real and what a person cannot deliver or do soon comes to be revealed, and with it, inescapable embarrassment. How unfortunate, how foolish. What a lack of honesty it is to tell someone things which you know are not true, but are told merely to win their favors. On the other hand, there are people who encourage others to flatter them. They encourage others to flatter them. Oh, you are good for my ego. They say, oh, you are good for my ego. There are people in high positions in our own country, even in their own villages. And they keep people around them as friends only because the people flatter them. Only because the people flatter them. You and I know people who encourage others to flatter them, and you and I know people whose world, I would say, would come to an end. Their lives will be empty. Their existence will be barren if they were not recipients of flattery. And in the Sundar Kand of Ramayana, Tulsidas tells us that the ministers of Ravan in his government sang his praises and reminded him of his former achievements simply to reassure him that he need not have any fear of Bhagwan Sri Ram. And this despite the havoc that had been created in Lanka by Hanumanji. You know why? Because the ministers knew that every time they flattered Ravan, it brought generous rewards in terms of wealth and position, and so engaged in flattery only for that purpose. Tulsidas says their conduct is hypocritical, since they were praising Ravan in his presence and denouncing him in his absence. one of the things that you have to learn in life when you're a minister of government, and I was a minister of government, and maybe I very often would run afoul of my colleagues and even the then Prime Minister, because I always chose to say what was the truth and to say it supportively rather than to flatter. Because there's no use in flattery. There's no use in flattery. If you flatter someone with the untruth because you want to gain something, then you are bringing your country into disrepute and you are threatening the prosperity of your country. Tulsidas notes that the blame for such conduct does not lie solely at the ones who are doing the flattery, at the feet of the ministers. You see, any leader gets the kind of ministers whom he deserves. Any leader in any community also gets the kind of people in his committee or what have you that he deserves. If you reward and you encourage flattery, you're going to surround yourself with lackeys, sucking up people to you, people who suck up to you. And Tulsidas makes an interesting point in the Ramayana when he says, when a minister of government, a physician or a guru, when any of these three speak pleasing words because of fear or hope of a reward, the result is that kingdom, health and faith are all three quickly destroyed. You know, my brother, in one of his books, wrote about this. And that's Professor Surujrattan Rambachan, and he suggests, for example, that a physician who is reluctant to prescribe an effective remedy because of the fear of upsetting the patient, or whose practice is only driven by the desire for monetary reward, is unlikely to be of much benefit to an ill person. Similarly, he says a spiritual teacher who is unable to offer honest guidance to a disciple, or whose relationship is governed by the hope of rewards of various kinds, will be detrimental to the spiritual health of the disciple. And that is happening in our own country, in the Hindu community. Today, the persons who call a pandit to their home, you know, they say to them, Panditji, we want a short puja. Now, rituals have to be performed in a certain way. Or Panditji, we want all of the death rituals to be performed on the same day. You know, they compromise. And very often, we have pandits who do this, who go along with the compromise. Why are you doing that? Is either you're committed to doing things the right way, or you don't do it at all. Do not make it a marketing exercise, a selling moment. Always ensure that you are dealing with devotion and spirituality. Brothers and sisters, pray with me. Dear God, we do not wish to be instruments of flattery, nor do we wish to be flattered by others. When others are engaged in acts of flattery towards us, let us, dear God, be honest with ourselves and avoid the temptation to bask in the lies about ourselves. Let us always see ourselves as we are, noting our weaknesses, always engaging in true self-reflection to improve ourselves, such that we may become acceptable to you. This discourse tonight is taken from a book I wrote many, many years ago. And in fact, it was written in the year 2002. That is 18 years ago. It's called Rekindling the Human Spirit, Life-Empowering Messages from the Hindu Tradition, with special reference to the Ramayana of Tulsidas. And in this book, I have 72 short discourses that I had written. So these could have been used in temples on their Sunday morning services. We close tonight with a couple of bhajans, and I hope that you will enjoy these bhajans that I am about to share with you. Which would remind me which are the bhajans that I was going to sing. I planned so many tonight. But, so we sing this very beautiful Ram bhajan, Ram Ram Bhaju Ram Ram, Bhaju Ram Ram Siya Ram, Ram Ram Bhaju Ram Ram, Bhaju Ram Ram Siya Ram. It's a very beautiful, very beautiful. It's as we said, old bhajan, but it's one that has so much beauty in it, so much meaning in it. रमे थे रमे रमे राम सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं राम नाम वरानने धर्म काज पृथ्वी पर आए दशरथ जी के पुत्र कहाए जनकपुरी में शिवधन तोड़ा सके सिया संगना जोड़ा सिया पिया बन राम प्रभु कहलाए सीताराम भज राम राम सिया राम भज राम राम सिया राम 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 वचन के पालन हारे राजपाट धन संभाले विश्वामित्र यज्ञ रखवाले सके अहल्या पालन हारे पंचवटी को बना दिया एक राज धर्म का भज राम राम सिया राम भज राम राम सिया राम 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 भज राम राम सिया राम भज ले राम राम सिया राम भज राम राम सिया राम भज राम राम सिया राम असुरों को संहार मार कर सेना सहित चले लंका पर अभिमानी रावण को मारा सीता को संकट से मारा राम राज हो गया देश में गुण गाए हनुमान भज राम राम सिया राम भज राम राम सिया राम 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 भज राम 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 भज राम राम सिया राम भज ले राम राम सिया राम भज राम राम सिया राम भज राम राम सिया राम भज 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 राम राम से बड़ा राम का नाम राम से बड़ा राम का नाम राम से बड़ा राम का नाम. Now we close with this final bhajan. Sai bhajana bina sukha shanti nahi. Without seeing the glory of Lord Sai, one cannot achieve any peace. It is not possible to achieve and realize bliss without worshipping Lord Hari. Without love and devotion, how can one be liberated? It is not possible to attain the state of salvation without serving the teacher. And without engaging in the recitation of the Lord's name and meditating on Him, there can be no union with Him. Those deeds which are filled with love and compassion are considered by Him to be righteous and truthful deeds. Except for God, nobody belongs to us. vidya dravinam tvameva sarvam mama deva deva asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya om shanti 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 om shanti 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 Hari Om Syavar Ramachandra ki jai Pavan Putra Hanuman ki jai Sri Satya Sanatana Dharma ki jai. Let me again warmly thank you for being with me tonight. Trust you enjoyed the short time we spent together, just about an hour and 5 minutes. And please join me again on Saturday night, same time, 8 o'clock, when we will again share with you our very beautiful verses from Ramayana, as well as other stories that have great interest and have great moral value for all of us. Namaste, Sitaram. Have a pleasant night. Stay safe. And remember, wear your masks. It's very important that you wear your mask. I beg of you, wear your masks. Thank you very much.